President.
Thank you.
Start it now.
All right, I'll give us a few seconds just to let the stream go. All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this meeting. I will now call this meeting to order. I, Humberto Gurmilan, the president of the governing board, call this regular board meeting of San Isidro School District to order at 5:02. I would like to ask that all members of the board mute their devices at this time. Also, everybody else here in attendance, please mute your devices for a second. Trustees of San Isidro School Board and the public shall participate in this meeting via teleconference. The public may view this meeting by accessing the YouTube link provided on tonight's agenda. Members of the public are welcome to record this meeting using their own personal devices. The district will also make an audio recording available upon request to the district office. Prior to roll call, I would like to make clear for the record of this meeting, and it should be reflected in the minutes, that this governing board meeting is conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953 and Governor Newsom's Executive Order N-29-20, and pursuant to Government Code Section 54954 and 54954.2 and Education Code Section 35143. So at this moment, I would like to move on to item number 2, which is our flag salute. So please join me in the flag salute. We will be displaying a picture of our flag on the screen, and I would like to ask those of you in the meeting right now to please mute the devices to avoid feedback, and I will guide us through the flag salute. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Item number 3 in tonight's agenda is administration of oath of office. And Dr. Potter, at this moment, I would like to introduce first to conduct Mr. Vice President, Mr. Antonio Martinez oath of office. I would like to introduce board member elect from the San Diego County Office of Education, Greg Robinson, to conduct the oath of office for Mr. Antonio Martinez.
And again, as I indicated earlier, I'm such an honor to be here. As I said, I'm Dr. Greg Robinson. I'm a newly elected member of the County Board of Education. And I want to congratulate my dear friend, Antonio Martinez, for his re-election. And actually, I want to congratulate the people of San Isidro for having someone of his character in this office. At any time, we need leaders of his caliber and ability, but under these kinds of times, these are essential to have someone like Antonio leading us through this particularly horrible period of time, but particularly in our communities of color. So thank you so much to the community for electing someone of his stature. So I guess I should go ahead and administer at this point. Is that correct? Okay, I think I'm getting a yes on that. I'm more used to having it administered to me than to administering. So let's see if I can do this with any ability. Okay, repeat after me, Mr. Martinez. I, and say your name.
I, Antonio Martinez,
do solemnly swear or affirm.
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Oh, congratulations. Let me be the first to congratulate you again for a very important responsibility. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for this invitation. I really appreciate it.
And I'll just say a couple of words about Dr. Robinson. He's been my dear friend for many, many years. For me, I see him as a friend and a mentor and a person that I've been working with for a long time, Dr. Robinson, many years to make our districts better. And him being elected to the San Diego County Board of Education is very important, not just for the county, but for our district particularly, because we have an ally and a friend in the county board who will do what is right and stand with our community. So I just want to very special thank you, Dr. Robinson. You're very, like I said, a very dear friend of mine, very special to my heart. And I just want to thank you for taking the time to do this. It means a lot to me, more than you know.
Yep. And what you've just described, Antonio, is more than just a statement. It's an obligation on my part. And feel free to call on me in any way I can to help your community, and particularly the children of your community. That's a commitment and a promise.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Martinez. Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Dr. Potter, do you have?
Yes, I wanted to also congratulate Mr. Martinez and share a few words to let everyone know that in accordance with Education Code 60, I also administered the oath of office to Mr. Martinez just prior to this governing board meeting as well, just to make sure we're all really good to go. Also want to share that board member, Mr. Antonio Martinez, has served on the board for 8 consecutive years. He's also served as a former board president, and he currently serves as our board vice president. He is a lifelong resident of San Ysidro who grew up in our community. Mr. Martinez is a graduate of the University of Pennsylvania with a degree in philosophy, politics, and economics, and he currently represents South Bay communities as a congressional representative for the office of Congressman Juan Vargas. He is a regular volunteer in our community with Hearts and Hands, Working Together, and Casa Familiar, which provides social services to our South Bay families. Since his election to the San Ysidro School District Governing Board in 2012, Mr. Martinez has worked tirelessly to strengthen support services for at-risk students, expand after-school programs, and is a strong supporter of our valuable staff and community. I would like to note that Mr. Martinez has run unopposed in his bids to serve on our governing board in both 2016 and in this current election of 2020. My sincere congratulations and thank you for your service to our community and our school district, Mr. Martinez. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Potter, for those kind words.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. Again, Mr. Martinez, congratulations. Unfortunately, Mr. Greg Cox, Chairman of District 1 County Board of Supervisors, will not be able to attend this meeting. And so Dr. Gina Potter, our superintendent, will now administer the oath of office for the board member, trustee Rosaleah Pallasique. Go ahead.
It is my absolute honor to administer the oath of office to our board member, Rosaleah Pallasique. Mrs. Pallasique, would you please raise your hand and repeat after me? I, Rosaleah Pallasique,
I, Rosaleah Pallasique,
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, Mrs. Pallasique. You've officially been sworn in.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll just say really quickly that it's been an honor to serve this community. I've lived in this community for 20 years. This community raised my children to be the wonderful human beings that they are, the educators, the administrators, all the care and love that has gone into their lives, I know has gone into the lives of all the children of this community. And I am truly, truly humbled and am appreciative of the faith that this community has placed in myself and my cohorts of this board. And we pray with faith in God that the next several years will yield abundance for our community, despite what we're going through, despite what the world is going through. And I just pray sincere protection over our community and our existing board members. And I appreciate our administration that's in place now in San Ysidro, our superintendent, and all of our cabinet that works tirelessly to make us board members look good. But you all do the heavy, heavy lifting, and it does not go without notice or appreciation. So thank you to the community for having faith in myself and in this board.
And Mrs. Pallasique, the district has a few words to share about your tenure with us as one of our board members and leaders of our community. We want to share that our board member, Mrs. Pallasique, has served as a board member since 2015 and has led us as past president of the governing board, having served multiple terms during her tenure. A successful businesswoman in the real estate industry who is proud to say her children are part of our district, with her oldest child having attended school at San Ysidro School District, and currently her daughter is a student also in one of our schools. In spite of her busy work schedule, Mrs. Pallasique always finds time to help at many of our district events, such as our Chromebook distributions for our children and attending school events. She is also very active in our community by consistently volunteering and working with community organizations, including Dreams for Change, Sharp Chula Vista, and Lighthouse Christian Fellowship. She is also an accomplished cook, a wannabe chef, who enjoys teaching others how to cook and eat healthy to improve families and their quality of life. Mrs. Pallasique takes a passionate interest in the success of our school district. She makes it her personal mission to work with our board, our teachers, our staff, and our community to provide the best education possible for every child in our district. Mrs. Pallasique has also run unopposed for her bid to serve on the governing board in both 2016 and 2020. We're grateful for her to stay with us on our governing board. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. We have a board. We're ready. Congratulations, Trustee Pallasique, Mr. Martinez, both of you, congratulations. That moves us on to item number 4, which is roll call. And I will now ask our superintendent and secretary to the board, Dr. Gina Potter, to please conduct roll call for us.
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for roll call, which is agenda item number 4, beginning with board member Mrs. Rosaleah Pallasique.
Present.
Board member Mrs. Irene Lopez.
Present.
Board clerk Mr. Rudy Lopez.
Here.
Board Vice President, Mr. Antonio Martinez.
Present.
And Board President, Mr. Humberto Gurmilan.
Present.
Mr. President, all 5 board members are here.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. I would now like to request that each board member respond to the following questions. We'll start with Trustee Pallasique. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end until now? I think she froze.
Yes, I
Okay,
can. I'm,
I got
I'm
you.
going in and out. I don't know what's going on with the weather today.
I can, yeah, good. Do you have a copy of tonight's agenda?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You got it. Trustee Miss Irene Lopez, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end until now?
Yes.
Awesome. And do you have a copy of tonight's agenda?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Mr. Lopez, can you hear me well?
I can.
Were you able to hear our proceedings up to this point?
I could.
Excellent. And do you have a copy of tonight's agenda?
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Mr. Martinez, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. Were you able to hear our proceedings up to this point?
Yes.
And do you have a copy of tonight's agenda?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. I would now request that any board members speak up at this time if the board member has reason to believe that those persons representing themselves to be a board member are not truly so. Hearing no comment, the record should reflect that no board member has expressed doubt that the board members participating by teleconference are not so. That concludes item 4, and we're now moving on to item 5 in tonight's agenda, which is public comments communications on board organization. Persons who wish to comment on topics included on board organization were invited to submit comments via email to the following email address: publiccomment@sysdschools.org. On or before 3 p.m. today, comments were limited to 300 words or less. All comments submitted regarding the board organization will be read aloud at this time. Please note, not all email correspondence related to this meeting will become part. Let me rephrase that. Please note that all email correspondence related to this meeting will become part of the board minutes. I will now ask our public relations coordinator, Mr. Francisco Mata, to see if there's any public comments for board organization.
Good morning, good afternoon. There is no public comments for this portion of the session.
Thank you, Mr. Mata. And at this point, we will move on to our annual board organization, and I will relinquish chairmanship, and we all will relinquish chairmanship to, we'll transfer the power to Dr. Gina Potter to now help us begin with our annual board organization.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are on agenda item number 6, the annual board organization. And item 6A is the election of the board president. And may I hear a motion to elect the board president?
I'll make a motion to elect Antonio Martinez as the board president.
We have a motion to elect Mr. Martinez as board president. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Any comments or discussion? Okay, let's take a roll call vote, and I'll begin in order, the same order that we always do. So board member, Mrs. Pallasique.
Yes.
Board member, Mrs. Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board clerk, Mr. Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And board vice president, Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
And current board president, Mr. Humberto Gurmilan.
Yes.
All right. We have a new board president. Congratulations, Mr. Martinez. The vote is 5-0.
Thank you.
Mr. Martinez, would you like to move on from here, or should I continue with this section of the agenda?
No, I'll be more than happy to take over in terms of the vote. I just want to thank everyone for the honor of serving next year's board president. Thank you, everyone. And I know we're going to recognize President Gurmilan. I just think he did a great job, and I know that well, you know, being in there, what was it, 2 years? This is your second year. You're already board president, brother. So I'm really proud of you. Did a great job. And I just want to say I'm honored to succeed you as board president. Thank you, brother.
Congratulations. Thank you.
We're going to move on to 6B, which is election of the board vice president. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to elect Mr. Lopez as vice president of the board.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Can we just do this by acclamation?
Let's rather take an actual vote count. But yes, I think you're going to get a 5-0, Mr. Lopez. But let's go one by one. Dr. Potter, can we do a vote count, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 6B, election of the board president, beginning with board member Rosaleah Pallasique
Yes.
and board member Mrs. Irene Lopez,
Yes.
current board clerk Mr. Rudy Lopez,
Aye.
and oh gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. Past president Mr. Humberto Gurmilan,
Let me think about it. Dr. Potter. Yes. Yes.
and current new president Mr. Martinez.
Yes,
Did I miss anyone? I think I got that.
I think we're good.
Okay. Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0. Congratulations, Mr. Lopez.
Thank you. I'm that much closer to jumping out of a plane.
Congratulations. Mr.
I
Lopez.
hear you.
Congrats, Mr. Lopez.
So we're going to go on to 6C, which is election of the board clerk. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to elect Trustee Pallasique as board clerk.
I'll second that one. So we have a motion, and a second. Dr. Potter, can we do a vote count, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 6C, the election of board clerk, beginning with board member Mrs. Rosaleah Pallasique,
Yes.
board member Mrs. Irene Lopez,
Yes.
new board vice president Mr. Rudy Lopez,
Aye.
board past president Mr. Humberto Gurmilan,
Yes.
and board president Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0. Congratulations, Mrs. Pallasique.
Congrats, Leah.
Congratulations, Leah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go on to 6D, which is appointment of our board secretary. Can I get a motion on that one?
I
Like,
move to appoint Dr. Gina Potter as our board secretary.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Lopez, the second by Mrs. Pallasique. Dr. Potter, can you do a roll call, please? Vote.
Can I do it for myself, Mr. Martinez, or should I have you?
You know what? I'll do the vote. Roll call. Mrs. Pallasique,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Aye.
Mr. Gurmilan,
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez,
Yes.
and I've also vote yes. That's 5-0 vote. Congratulations, Dr. Potter.
Thank you so much.
Great job, everybody. 5-0 vote.
Unanimous. So we're going to go on to number 7, which is recognition of former board president, former board president, Mr. Humberto Gurmilan.
It is my, may I speak, Mr. Martinez, Mr.
Please.
President?
Please, Dr. Potter.
Thank you so much. It is my absolute honor to recognize Governing Board President Humberto Gurmilan for his tremendous service as the outgoing board president. Here are a few of his many accomplishments during his tenure. He was elected to serve on the California School Boards Association Delegate Assembly. He helped to pass General Obligation Bond Measures T and U. He created our 2019-2020 school year theme, Together or Juntos. And he always helped us with his extensive technological knowledge with the editing and production of district videos. Mr. Gurmilan showed his sincere devotion and commitment to our district by consistently participating in community events that involved our students and families, such as Chromebook and food distributions, free vaccination clinics, and holiday events. He was a visible and caring fixture at many more events throughout the school year. Mr. Gurmilan served as president during an unprecedented and challenging time for our school district with perseverance, foresight, compassion, and determination. He has collaboratively led our board and district through this COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Gurmilan led the charge to assure that our students had fair and equitable access to technology, such as internet service and Chromebooks, to continue providing the best education for our children. This led to our school district closing the digital divide and providing all of our students access to computer and internet service. With this barrier closed, we achieved approximately 95% daily student participation in our online distance learning academy. Board President Gurmilan, on behalf of our students, staff, families, and community, we extend to you a heartfelt thank you for your leadership, dedication, and commitment to our district during this very challenging school year. We're all very grateful you will remain with us as a prominent governing board leader in our district and in our community. We have a plaque to recognize you, so if you'll give me just one moment, I'll grab it and I'll hold it up and read it. So one moment.
Somebody told me I was supposed to be there and I screwed up. That's it. Dr. Potter, you're muted, but that's beautiful.
Oops, can you see?
Yes,
Okay, could you
that's
hear
beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, could you hear the words before I got up?
Yeah. I heard
Oh,
everything you said
good.
it until you got back. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I wish I was there. I got confused. I should have been there, but I just want to say a couple of words. I'll be brief because I know we have a long meeting, but I just want to thank first off the fellow board members and congratulate each of our newly elected board members for their positions. I want to thank them for their support and everything that we did together, because everything that we did, or that you mentioned, Dr. Potter, we did together as a board and as a district. And I do want to thank everybody in the administration, everybody that has supported, me over the past year. I specifically also want to thank our labor groups and everybody that's working in our district, teachers, our classified employees, our staff, and everybody that works in the district, because without their work, without their support, without their ongoing efforts to make sure that our district moves forward, my job as a president wouldn't have been, as easy as it was. As what it was. So I just want to thank everybody. It's just been a very rewarding experience, and it's a really beautiful plaque, really. But thank you so much. And
Mr. Gurmilan, on behalf of the district, this is presented to you. And sorry. It says 2020 Governing Board President, in appreciation of your leadership and dedication to the students, staff, and community of the San Ysidro School District, December 14th, 2020.
thank you, Dr. Potter. Thank you. Very honored and very excited to see where we can go into next year in the future.
All right, Mr. Martinez. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to continue, and frankly, I just want to again thank Mr. Gurmilan for your not only just serving on the board, but being our president. And like I said before, you've done a great job. And some of the meetings are not easy, right? And some of them have been long. So I just want to say thank you, at least from my end, for your dedication to our community. We're going to go to agenda action item number 8, which is the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
We have a second.
I'll second it, Mr. Martinez.
Okay. Do any board members have any additions to the agenda or any changes before we vote?
No.
Okay, hearing none. Dr. Potter, can you do the roll call vote, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item number 8, the approval of the agenda, beginning with Board Member Humberto Gurmilan,
Yes.
Board Member Irene Lopez,
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique,
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez,
Aye.
and Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. We're going to go on to action item number 9, which is public comment communications on closed session items. Persons who wish to comment on topics concluded on a closed session agenda item were invited to submit comments via email to the following email address: publiccomments@sysdschools.org on or before 3 p.m. today. Comments were limited to 300 words or less. All comments submitted regarding closed session items will be read aloud at this time. Mr. Mata, do we have any public comment for any closed session items?
Good evening, newly elected Mr. President and all the newly elected board members. No, we do not have any public comments for the closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mata. In that case, we're going to go on to number 10, which is governing board recess to closed session in accordance to section 54954.5 regarding 10.1 government code section 54957, 10.2 conference with labor negotiators. And do I have a motion to recess to closed session?
I'll make the motion.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Pallasique, second by Mrs. Lopez. Dr. Potter, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Calling for the roll call vote to recess to closed session, agenda item number 10, beginning with Board Member Humberto Gurmilan,
Yes.
Board Member Irene Lopez,
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique,
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez,
Aye.
and Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Okay, so we're going to recess to closed session right now at 5:34 p.m. and we'll be back, and I'll see you all over there in closed session.
Mr. Lewis, you may need to pause a moment. We're waiting for everyone to log on the recording. Mr. Lewis, Mr. Ortega, can we pause a moment?
Yes, Dr. Potter, we can pause.
Thank you. Is it pausing? Oh, there we go. Yeah, what we want to do is start it after we have all 5 board members, and then that's when we would start the recording. So right now I am counting 1, 2. I see 4. We're waiting on 1. Mr. Ortega, or Monica, would you mind calling Mrs. Lopez, make sure she's okay?
She just logged on, Dr. Potter.
Perfect. Okay. There we go. Hi, Mrs. Lopez. All right, Mr. President, you now have 5 board members. And Mr. Lewis, I think we're ready to start the recording. Let me ask team, Mr. Martinez, are we ready to start the recording?
Yes, we are.
All right then.
Okay, everyone. So we're going to reconvene from closed session to open session at 6:25 p.m. And before we do it, I'm going to say, read a paragraph that every president has to do. And so I'm going to read it. I, Antonio Martinez, the president of the governing board, call this regular board meeting of the San Isidro School District to order. I would like to ask that all board members of the board to mute their device at this time. Trustees of San Isidro School District Board and the public shall participate in this meeting via teleconference. The public may view this meeting by accessing the YouTube link provided on the agenda. To listen to this meeting in Spanish, please call 515-884-8022 and enter the access code 386-462-713#. Para escuchar esta junta en español, por favor llame al 515-884-8022 e ingrese el código de acceso 386-462-713 y el signo de gato. Members of the public are welcome to record this meeting using their own personal devices. The district will also make an audio recording available upon request to the district office. Prior to roll call, I would like to make clear for the record of this meeting, and it should be reflected in the minutes, that this governing board meeting is conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953 and Governor Newsom's Executive Order N2920, and pursuant to Government Code Section 54954 and 54954.2 and Education Code Section 35134. And at least from the closed session part, there's nothing to report out. No actions were taken. So we're going to go on to roll call. And if Dr. Potter, you'd be so kind as to do roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call, agenda item number 12, beginning with board member, Board member Humberto Gurmilan.
Here.
And board member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
And board clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
And board vice president Rudy Lopez.
Here.
And board president Antonio Martinez.
Present.
Mr. President, all 5 board members are here.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. We do have a quorum. I would now like to request that each board member respond to the following questions. We're going to start with Mr. Humberto Gurmilan. Mr. Gurmilan, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end until now?
Yes.
And do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gurmilan. Next, we're going to go with Mrs. Lopez. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Were you able to hear our proceedings on this meeting, on this end until now?
Yes.
And do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Mrs. Lopez. Mrs. Pallasique, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Were you able to hear proceedings on this end until now?
Yes.
And do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Pallasique. VP, Mr. Lopez, can you hear me well?
I can.
Were you able to hear proceedings on this end until now?
I could.
And do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez, and I will answer yes to all these questions as well. Next, I would like to request that any board member speak up at this time if the board member has reason to believe that those persons representing themselves to be a board member are not truly so. Okay, hearing no comment, the record should reflect that no board member has expressed doubt that the board members participating by teleconference are not so. And on that note, we're going to go on to 13, which is public comment communications on open session items. I believe we have open session item comment. So I'm going to pass it to Mr. Mata, our public relations coordinator, to read that public comment at this time.
Good evening once again. And yes, we do, Mr. President. We have 23 public comments. Number 1, David Alcaz, public comment for open comment section. I am writing to say thank you to the district leadership and school board. Specifically, I would like to say thank you so much for prioritizing safety. Thank you for recognizing the severity of the COVID-19 pandemic, especially here in San Isidro. Thank you for allowing the teachers to continue working remotely, and thank you for delaying the changes to student schedules until becomes more safe and more feasible to allow return to campus. I'd also like to say thank you for communicating to families that the start of blended learning will not proceed as planned in January. Keeping families in the loop like that with specific information and updates is crucial and immensely helpful since it enables families to better plan ahead. Last but not least, I'd like to respectfully ask that you please consider not requiring SPED teachers to go back to campus in person in January against their will to conduct assessments, especially when we are in the purple tier of widespread coronavirus, especially when general ed teachers will not be required to do so, and especially when other places like South Bay are having these assessments conducted online instead. Again, thank you for valuing the safety of the students and staff, and I hope you do the same for our SPED teachers. Thank you all so much and happy holidays. Sims teacher, David Alcaz. Number 2, Dionica Estrada, not safe. I don't think it's safe yet to go back to school. Now, why classified and not teachers or administrators? You want us to go back to work while you work from the safety of your home, but you want us to risk our lives. There are COVID cases nonstop at the schools. Do you really care about us? Because I don't feel you do. The end. Number 3, Marlo Vasquez, and this pertains to item 16.2. To whom it may concern, I would like to take the opportunity to thank SYSD for extending distance learning past January 2nd, 2021. I would also like to ask for your considering in the decision to force special education teachers to go back for assessment purposes while San Diego County remains in the purple tier. I would urge SYSD to consider this due to the nature of SPED programs and how they service multi-grade levels and how that would put them at a higher risk of contracting COVID-19. I would urge SYSD to continue employing the current system of volunteers and assessment teams. Thank you for your time and consideration. Respectfully, Marlo J. Vasquez, Resource Specialist, La Mirada. Number 4, Maria Padilla. I'm happy to see that we are continuing teaching from the safety of our own homes, and there has not been a change in the classes and teachers. For now, I want to return when the time is right. I cannot believe that special education teachers are being asked to go back in person knowing that we are in the purple tier and the cases are surging in our zip code. I personally had family members and close friends contract the virus even though they've been very cautious and following protocol. Forcing teachers to go back during this time should not happen. God forbid any of them contract the virus. It will be on the district's hands. Please consider having special ed teachers from going back. It's way too soon. Mary Padilla. Number 5, Victoria Schmitz, pertaining to COVID. Thank you for your continuing efforts in keeping us safe through distance learning. It is greatly appreciated. With respect to all that you have done and all that you continue to do to keep the SYSD community and our schools safe, I am asking that you please keep our school doors closed until we are out of the purple tier and are given the opportunity to get vaccinated before returning. This includes all SPED teachers, administrators, students, and personnel. It would be absolutely devastating and morally unethical if we continue to spread this deadly disease through unnecessary contact. We are so close to going back to some form of normalcy, which is why I am asking that you please wait until we are all given the opportunity to return safely and confidently. Thank you for your time, Victoria Schmitz. Number 6, Diana Flores. Hello, everyone. I would like to start thanking the district's leadership for delaying the blending learning until after January. Also, please reconsider forcing SPED members back to campus before general ed teachers and while coronavirus is widespread. Thank you, Ms. Flores. Number 7, Viridiana Moreno. Hello. Please follow SBUSD's lead and consider the safety of both faculty and students during the purple tier and stop assessments until it is safe to do so, especially while there is a statewide stay-at-home order. This pertains to 16.2 amendment to the 2020-21 instructional program phase timeline extension. General education teachers do not have to risk their health and safety. Therefore, SPED faculty members are entitled to the same. Thank you for your time. Number 8, Sylvia Robledo. First, I would like to thank Dr. Potter and all the district administration for the well thought out decision to delay in-person blended learning. However, I am deeply concerned about the possibility of having special education teachers return to campus to conduct in-person assessments while we remain in the purple tier. Although San Isidro is part of San Diego County, the San Isidro community area continues to be the hotspot of infection. While a rate of 11,266.9 per 100,000 residents and continues to climb, is extremely risky and basically unsafe to bring on campus and have them to be exposed with students they come in contact with. Currently, there is not a week that goes by that I am not informed that a student or someone in their family has tested positive for COVID. For the safety of staff, teachers, and students and their families, we need to have those in leadership position make decisions that are on the side of caution and protection for all. We must all look to have our staff protected from possible harm that may come to them through being exposed to COVID through their employment. When least expected, teachers or their families may be the next casualty to COVID or the next serious health complications and or long-term health conditions. Please consider any decisions to have special education teachers return to campus. As you know, COVID-19 is widespread in this community. Keep us all safe, please. Thank you. Sylvia Robledo, San Isidro Middle School counselor and 30-plus year employee. Number 9, Kayla Edgman, pertaining to 16.2. Hello, board members. I would like to start with thanking you for doing your best and trying to make the right decisions during this crazy time. I also appreciate that we are not switching assignments in January and allowing us to work from home. I'm considered a risk and I teach preschool, so I am very thankful we are not in person. I would like to consider following the lead of South Bay District and plan. Their plan pushes things back to a few weeks, which would allow time for San Isidro to get out of the purple tier and safe enough for teachers to return for one-on-one assessments. Thank you for your time. Kayla Edgman. Number 10, Daniel Valareso. Again, 16.2 public comments. Good afternoon. I'm Daniel Valareso, third grade teacher at Smythe Elementary. I would like to thank everyone involved with our district and teachers bargaining meetings. You are successfully guiding us through very confusing times. I appreciate your patience, flexibility, and wisdom. I feel our safety is your priority and will forever be grateful for your help during this difficult time. I would like to thank our district leadership for delaying the restart of blended learning. Seems like the responsible thing to do considering our county is in the purple tier again. Our community and staff will be safer during remote learning for the time being. I would urge our leadership to consider the risks of bringing back special ed teachers to the classroom during the purple tier. How are we going to prevent them from getting sick or from potentially bringing the virus to our schools? Our best efforts have not prevented our very limited on-campus staff from testing positive from the virus. I'm sure there are many things to consider, and this decision will not be taken lightly. I trust you'll find a solution which doesn't put any of our teachers or students at risk. Thanks for your time. Number 11, Mi Ling Murray, pertaining to item 16.2. To SYSD board members and district leaders, I would like to thank you for making San Isidro School District employees' safety a priority for extending the distance learning phase. With the current COVID-19 case rates at an all-time high, it is the best decision for students, teachers, administrators, and staff. I sincerely appreciate your consideration. Mi Ling Murray. Number 12, Erica Ibarra, pertaining to item 16.2. Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank the board and the district for letting members continue to work remotely. With the vast amount of positive COVID-19 cases reported in our community and in our district, I believe this was a very smart decision. I also want to thank everyone for delaying the switching of our classes to a future date. This has diminished extra stress on our staff and families. The decision to delay this change will allow our students some sense of consistency in their lives, which is something all of us are lacking at this time. Lastly, I would like to urge the district to follow South Bay Unified School District's lead and not require any members to work in the schools while we are in the purple tier. My understanding is that the district wants to require special ed staff to administer in-person assessments during a very unsafe time. I understand how important these assessments are. However, this would be at the cost of the members' lives, their families, and the students. Forcing special education staff to administer their assessments in person before it is safe to do so is the same as saying the lives of these members are not as important as the rest of the members. This would be unfair and an awful thing for the members to feel. Please reconsider making this decision. Thank you for your time. Number 13, Diana Flores, pertaining to 16.2. Hello, everyone. I would like to start by thanking the district leadership for delaying the blending learning until after January. Also, please reconsider forcing SPED members back to campus before general ed teachers and while coronavirus is widespread. Thank you, Diana S. Flores. 14, Patricia Manley. SPED ed teachers to go back to campus. If the schools are unsafe for general ed teachers, then it's unsafe for SPED teachers. You can't show favoritism when it comes to health. Number 15, Miguel Aguilera, pertaining to 16.2. Dear esteemed board members, as an employee who works primarily for the special education department, I write to you to address a huge concern, which is the immense IEP caseload that has accumulated since the schools closed back in March of 2019. I want to state that I am not interested in extra pay nor being forced to go back to school sites. However, I am concerned about certain actions brought about our department and especially in our school psychologist team, which has been seen as unfair, such as unequal extra pay and now forcing our special ed assessment team, but not the general education certificate teachers. Again, unfairness is coming into play. If we are the same union, then surely we general and SPED workers should stand hand in hand and continue to share the same instructions and or options. Thank you, and I hope you reconsider forcing the special ed assessment team, but not the general ed certificated teachers. Miguel Aguilera, school psychologist. Number 16, Cynthia Nunez, pertaining to 16.2. I'd like to take a moment to thank the district for postponing the start of blended learning. The positive case rate in the San Isidro area is extremely high, and you have proven that looking at data and reflecting on it is the best approach when making these types of decisions. With that being said, I would like for you to keep that data in mind when you are thinking about sending any staff members to work on site while still in the purple tier. The health of our students, staff, and families is much more important than meeting deadlines and completing assessments. Number 17, Fernanda Rios, comment. Good evening, board members, superintendent, and everyone joining this meeting tonight. Last week was a very intense week for many of us. Anxiety levels were really high because our current high-risk situation with COVID-19. Last week in the San Isidro School District, we had positive cases almost on a daily basis, and for those working on site, it made it very difficult to stay calm. I want to take this time to thank the district for agreeing to allow majority of classified staff to work from home the last week before winter break. We're hopeful that the district will continue to consider the COVID-19 situation, specifically in the San Isidro community, to determine when it's safe to come on campus. We know that the idea is to be able to work on site, but when there is a high level of anxiety due to San Isidro having the highest numbers of COVID-19 in the San Diego County, how can one be expected to be able to function at a normal level? Even though we would love to continue to live our lives without fear and return to normalcy, we have to continue to be cautious and continue looking at the COVID-19 numbers on a daily basis in our area, because more than 75% of the families in the 92173 and 92154 zip codes live with other people in their household over the age of 65 and or have health issues. Let's continue to work together during these unprecedented times. Thank you, Fernanda Rios, CSEA Chapter 154, President. Number 18, Natalie La Rosa, pertaining to item 16.2. Dear school board and district leaders, first, I would like to express my sincere appreciation for all you have done to help keep our members safe and healthy. You have been very careful and have not put members' lives in danger. We truly appreciate that we have been able to count on you to consider safety first. I have seen how the district has worked to maintain our safety. All teachers who provided the correct documentation have been permitted to continue working remotely until June. Those of us returning when we're out of the purple tier will have smaller class sizes, and many safety measures and precautions have been put in place. I can honestly see how difficult this task has been. HR has done this with some necessary movement among our unit members, but the great majority of us have been able to remain in our grade levels and at our schools. All of this was done to keep everyone safe. I also appreciate how the district listened to members and decided to delay the switching of the teachers and children until we officially begin the blended program. The plan had been to start the blended learning program in January, but due to the rising numbers of COVID cases and our placement in the purple tier, the possibility of waiting suddenly arose. And amazingly, the district listened to teachers and families. Many members were very relieved. Now, those of us switching grades will have more time to plan, and when we eventually switch, we'll be able to do a much better job. I do need to share something that I am very concerned about, however. Some members might be forced to work in person while our region is still in the purple tier. From what I understand, the district wants to require members in the special education department to administer one-on-one assessments while the rest of us continue working from the safety of our homes. I do see that the district is in a difficult position, but does the district really want to force some SYEA members to risk their safety in this way while we are in the purple tier? If anything, this should be voluntary. One neighboring district is not even allowing staff to go in right now or in January. My advice would be to continue doing the virtual assessments and record reviews as much as possible, talking with parents and seeing if they are okay to wait another month or so. I would also allow volunteers to do in-person assessments. I have spoken to leaders in other districts in the state that are not doing any in-person assessments at all this school year. I know there are many that are, but I hear the teachers in those districts were very unhappy and afraid for their health. Thank you for listening. Sincerely, Natalie La Rosa, SYEA President. Number 19, Marcia Omelina, against 16.2. Thank you, SYSD school board members, for your recent announcement regarding continued distance learning while San Diego's in the purple tier. As a teacher, I work hard to help my students understand the concepts of fairness by teaching them the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Please be an example for my students by modeling fairness and showing them you also practice the golden rule. Allow all special education specialists, all teachers employed in the special education department, the same protections given to our general education peers. Thank you, Marcia Omelina, Education Specialist, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Number 20, Erica Valareso, Purple Tier. Dear Dr. Potter and Cabinet, thank you so much for delaying the start of blended learning. We truly appreciate your concern for everyone's health and safety. I ask you to please reconsider forcing SPED members back to campus before general ed teachers, and while coronavirus is widespread. Thank you, Erica Valareso, Smythe teacher. Number 21, Marta Murillo. Dear board members, I want to start by thanking the district leadership for putting our community and staff safety first by deciding to delay the starting date 1/7/2021 of our district's Blended Learning Academy instruction program. As an employee who works primarily for the special education department, I would like to ask you to reconsider forcing special education members back on campus while our geographic region continues experiencing an escalating COVID-19 transmission rate. Respectfully, M. Murillo. Number 22, Dalia Gonzalez, pertaining to 16.2. To the board members of San Isidro School District, first of all, thank you for putting off the switching of the classes to start at a future date in response to the current purple tier in our county that our county is in. Secondly, I would like our board to continue to put all families, teachers, and staff safety and health as a priority by not forcing the SPED teachers to come on campus to assess students while the county is in the purple tier. San Isidro has the highest cases in our county, and to force someone to be on campus assessing students is putting not only the teacher, but also the student and their family at risk. I believe that if the board is still holding the board meeting virtually, teachers or staff should not be forced to meet face-to-face with students. I hope that this is taken into consideration and no one is forced to do something that is not yet safe to do. Respectfully, Dalia Gonzalez. Number 23, Jeremy Ryan, public comment pertaining to 16.2. To whom it may concern, I am a special education teacher currently working at Willow Elementary, working remotely, of course. To begin, I want to extend a genuine appreciation to the district administration for considering the needs of both students and staff as it pertains to the decision to delay our return to the classroom while the county deals with the growing coronavirus cases. I think that it was a prudent decision that shows the district's concern for everyone's well-being. However, I must express my disappointment with the plan from what I've been informed of via communications with SYEA representatives to consider sending special education teachers back to school campuses without compensation to conduct assessments of students who may qualify for additional services. I think that proposal is short-sighted, is unfair, in that additional responsibilities are levied on special education teachers alone, and it could potentially expose the teachers and the students to the coronavirus. I ask that the district reconsider this proposal and come to a more equitable and fair arrangement with the special education teachers. Thank you in advance for your consideration. Jeremy Ryan. That's it, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mata. Thank you for that.
Okay.
We're gonna move on to 14 items from the board and superintendent. We're gonna start with Mr. Gurmilan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everybody. Again, just a couple of comments. I just want to reiterate my gratitude to everybody that supported myself and in this district during the past year, the last 12 months. I'm just very grateful for the opportunity. I've said it not only here in our board meetings, but elsewhere in the community when I'm out there, or when I was out there we're in virtual meetings now for the past 9 months. I always share how honored I am not only to serve on the board, but just to serve as president last year. So just want to reiterate that and thank everybody in general. I just had a couple more things to share. I was able to visit with Mr. Bojorquez for a student review, data review session. Dr. Potter was also there, and Dr. Farkas, and it was just a great experience for me to be able to see how it's done and how Mr. Bojorquez does his job. I've heard obviously great things of Mr. Bojorquez, and I've seen him in action, but it was really awesome to see the data and his presentation. And so I just wanted to commend him for the awesome presentation at this moment. But also, I think he said something really interesting that has resonated with me since that day. And he mentioned that we're all going through this storm right now, and it's a great metaphor for what we're doing and where we're going. And I think that he's right. We're going through a storm. I think there's light at the end of the tunnel, if I can combine two metaphors or two analogies. And the only way we're going to get through the storm is together, right? And I think we're doing that. So I just wanted to thank Mr. Bojorquez for that great presentation in public right now, because I was really impressed, and it was really interesting and fascinating to see the information, the data, and really what everybody does in this district at each of the schools. I was just very excited to see. I told Mr. Bojorquez, it's like lifting the hood in a car, right? You see all the engine and everything that's functioning inside. So it was really awesome to see that. Very exciting. And even that's happening as we're going through this very difficult storm. So very excited about that, and very hopeful for the future. And finally, just one more thought. I just want to reiterate my gratitude and thank everybody in this district that's going through change, going through difficulty, that's being patient with the district, not only with the district, but that's being patient with students, for example, and families, and everybody that's working together and collaborating to get through the storm. I know there's a lot of sacrifices being done. There's a lot of working together that's being done, and there's a lot of very difficult circumstances that everybody's going through. So I just wanted to thank everybody for this year, and I just wanted to thank our teachers, our classified, our staff, everybody involved, our administrators, Dr. Potter, and even also the board members for working together. I think we're very fortunate to have the leadership that we have at this district, but also trickling down all the way down to everybody that works together, because we wouldn't be where we are if we had a lot more issues than what we do. We still have challenges. We still have a lot of things to work through, and obviously it's day by day and month by month at this point. But I think we should all be hopeful for 2021. I am really hopeful. I'm very positive about 2021. I don't know when this whole storm will end, but I think the end is closer than the beginning. So I would just want to wish everybody a happy holidays. Please continue to be safe. Continue to celebrate virtually if you can. Be as safe as possible, but also enjoy the time off. Enjoy it. You deserve it. You deserve some time with your family. Some time to reflect on this really crazy year that we've had. But let's get ready for 2021, because it's going to bring new challenges, but it's going to bring a lot of hope and a lot of light, I hope, and a lot of positive things for our district and for our students and for our staff and for everybody that's here. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Gurmilan. We're going to continue with Mrs. Lopez.
Good evening. I just want to reiterate a few things. I was able to be on the student data review for preschool. And as usual, it's very encouraging. And it's beautiful to see the program, what it's done. And I want to commend Mrs. Reed and her staff for everything that they do for these children that are small, that sometimes are not aware of what's really happening. And I think that they've worked so hard to bring so much success to the program. And I hope that we can they've had a decline just like the schools have, but I hope that in the future we'll be able to really register and get more little children in there to be service for our community, because there is a need. And I also was not able, but I wanted to let Mr. Bojorquez know that I was not able to attend the student data review for his school, but I looked at your chart and all the information. And as usual, you're the magic man. I just don't know where you get the energy to do what you do, but this information that you gave as far as the math, English learning, the attendance, everything, there was a percentage of increase, and yeah, there was some decrease, but I think this is an area, each school is different, but I think that in your area, your staff and you have done such great things for our community, and especially that area, that there's a need. And I wanted to thank you and your staff for all the work that you do. And I know that you continue working hard. And I also want to let you know, I want to give you and your staff and the families happy holidays, safe and blessed with a lot of love, peace. And we'll continue to working together. And thank you for everything that your whole school does for our kids. The other one was Smythe that I visited on the student data review with Mr. Little. And that was really nice. It's how different schools have different ideas, but they bring out a little of how would you say, communication, but something special that we have in San Isidro. And it's in every school, something special that each school does. And I really thank Mr. Little and his staff because they do a wonderful job. The other thing was that showing and shining for a psychologist in the school that had some real good ideas and program that she brought to the school and servicing our kids. I think that was never have we seen a psychologist being actually shined on to see. And I know that we have a lot of psychologists at each school. I know they're all good, but this is something that sometimes we don't see, or we don't actually see who's behind the scenes also. So I want to thank his staff, the psychologist, teachers, classified, and him for everything that they do. But there was something on your, and I looked at it, in your website regarding what you do with an assembly, that you always have, I think, the flag salute, and you do the flag salute, and I see it, the words are underneath. Very slowly and calmly, you say the flag salute, with the children are also repeating it. I think that's a good way of letting especially our small children, that they get to repeat and see it slowly and learn it. That's real important. I thought that was beautiful. And also what you do for assemblies with the kids, you give them that week, an idea of how to behave or how to do things. I think that's and I think it's on your website too, but I was saying that it should be shared maybe on our website also, something new, something nice. And that's what it is about, collaborating with each other, bringing those ideas. And that's what makes us strong in our community. And I want to wish you and your staff happy holidays with a lot of peace and love and faith. So thank you for all the work that you do. And I know that the Women's Club, I'm a part of the San Isidro Women's Club, and I wasn't able to participate with them this year. But I know that they did I saw the pictures, it was beautiful, how the kids, little small kids receiving those teddy bears and having Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus there. That was really nice, I thought. It was so encouraging, and hope that next year we'll be able to do something more worthwhile, if God permits. But I think that working together, and I want to commend both the teachers and the classified unions for everything that you do, because I know it's not easy. And it's not easy for us because we have to make a decision, but we also have to look at what we have available for us, what we have that we need to actually invest in. But that's why we need your information, your ideas, but collaborating together as a family, as a community. I know that next year we're going to be even more better and stronger. So I want to wish everyone Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year with a lot of good luck, but not only that, faith and good health. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lopez. We're going to continue with Clerk Pallasique.
Good evening, board and community members. I want to start by thanking the community for their comments during this board meeting. It's an important time for us, and these are things that we need to hear. And it's not that we don't know. I mean, I speak for myself. It's not that I don't know, but I need the reminders. And it's very frustrating that our governor has not given school districts the appropriate waivers for us to be able to properly protect and act on behalf of all of our staff, not just portions of our staff. And it's a blind spot that I just think has not been addressed. I know that our cabinet has been profusely advocating at the state level. And I know some of our board members as well have been advocating at the state level just to have these allowances in place, because there's so much legality surrounding, without getting too much into it, but there's so much legality and repercussion that could come against a small vulnerable district like ourselves. And while that is kind of in our peripheral vision, what's in our direct vision is the lives and the safety of our staff. And I'm not getting that sense personally. I'm not getting the sense that that's coming from the state. So, there's definitely some work to be done. There's some creative thinking. I'm going to ask Dr. Potter, and I'm sure that this ask is already in the works, but I'm going to ask for some creative solutions. I think we're all thinking of what can we do creatively, abiding by the law, but while keeping everybody safe and alive. I know that it's just it's just coming out of my mouth. It's so surreal, but we are responsible for that and for the lives of the ones that are employed here and that, are trying to thrive amidst this chaos. So it is really upsetting to me that, despite all the advocacy from hundreds and hundreds of school districts across the state, that, we're still being held to this. In my opinion, it's an unfair and it's a dangerous imposition. It's something that's just not safe to impose on anyone. I would be really upset if it was imposed on me, and I would probably say no. So it's just a very personally upsetting, but we're gonna look at all possible creative solutions and really see what we can do. I mean, I'd like to reach out to our local authorities here, the San Diego County Office of Ed, and see if there's anything they can offer. I don't know. And again, it's just something that we're having to tackle at present. So my heart is with our staff, all of our staff, and our SPED teachers. And my ask is that we do our best to come up with a creative solution. So onward and upward, though, the work is not done. And I think it's going to be a moving target, even through probably mid next year, if not the whole school year next year, is what I'm speculating. Because I just feel like every time we commit to a time frame or a date, there's another shift. So while one solution might work for a moment, it might become unuseful or obsolete the next. So I appreciate our cabinet for working so diligently to abide by the law while keeping the safety of our staff and students at the forefront. So onward and upward.
Thank you, Clerk Pallasique. We're going to continue with our Vice President, Mr. Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to congratulate everybody. Yesterday, we achieved our 9-month anniversary of these COVID closures. I'd like to thank everybody for their patience. I know sometimes everybody wants to plan ahead, and people want decisions to be made, and they want answers now. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult to come up with those, to make these decisions, because sometimes we need to look, sometimes it's more than 4 weeks ahead. So again, we thank you for your patience. Beginning with our families, I know it's a struggle. I only have one child, and I struggle with schedules, so I can only imagine what it's like to have more than one, especially when they're at different grade levels with different teachers, different devices, all that stuff. So thank you. Thank you for our teachers that continue to be role models for our students. and for our staff that's keeping everything running and keeping us safe. Again, I know that tonight we're gonna, or that we've already discussed that we're not gonna implement our blended learning. We're gonna keep on with our distance learning. I know we're looking at that January 6th date of when we come back to school, but I also want to remind everybody that really, I think, in terms of what our current status is in terms of the pandemic, one of the more important dates, at least for the near future, is actually January 15th, because January 15th marks 2 weeks from the unofficial end of the holidays. So it's the first full 2 weeks after New Year's. And I know it's been difficult. Again, we're 9 months into this. People want to get together with their families for the holidays, and I get it. But we also have to be responsible as a community, and that means those 2 weeks after the holidays are going to be very important, and that's really when we're going to see what the current status of our community is in terms of COVID. So again, I urge you to be safe. I wish everybody a happy holidays. And I'd like to thank all of our community partners. Some of my colleagues have named some, but those that have continued to help us maintain some sense of normalcy with our food pantries, with resources for our families, but especially right now with celebrating the holidays and trying to keep things as normal as they can for the kids. Last Friday we had a very beautiful event. This Saturday we've got another one. So I thank all of our community partners for standing with us. I know it's difficult for everybody, but it means a lot to our families to continue that stuff. Just the other day, I was thinking about one of the things that we're gonna miss is running around. There's always a week in December when we're running from school to school to see all the different holiday programs, and we really miss that. And I know the families miss that as well. But again, thank you for your patience. Continue to work with us, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lopez. So from my end of it, I just want to echo a lot of what the other board members said. When this pandemic started in March, we made a commitment that safety for all staff and for all students is going to be the priority. So at least from my end of it, I want to thank all of the staff who was able to write and do public comment today. Obviously, safety needs to come first. So I want to, at least from my end, to direct Dr. Potter and her cabinet to obviously, first and foremost, we need to follow the law, but at the same time, come up with a creative solution on a strategy that keeps everyone safe. Even if it's having a discussion with South Bay School District and seeing what they're doing. But I think the most important thing is find a viable option that works for our team is going to be very important, and safety first above everything else. Lastly, I do want to echo a lot of what the board was saying of sticking together. One of the things I love being on the board now, and it's my third term, it's 8 years already, is and it's funny that the way I think of it, actually, it's when I first got elected, I was 27 years old. Now I'm going to be 36. So seeing that it's almost a decade of my life has been on this board, perhaps even almost, 1/3 of my life has been on this board coming up. It's important for me to say that this board, the individuals that are here as board members, are each and every one of you have good hearts, and more importantly, have the right intentions. So I just want to say that I'm blessed to be part of the board where I know that my colleagues, we're all on the same page. We might not necessarily agree on everything, but at least, when it comes down to the big issues such as safety, we're all on the same page. So I just want to tell each and every one of you that being here for 8 years, I feel blessed being a board member now, particularly knowing that we're all on the same page, and we're going to keep on going, and we're going to get out of this pandemic together, hopefully sooner rather than later. And then the last thing is, we have a lot of hard decisions coming up. The most important thing, obviously, is safety, but we also are going to be talking about the budget. We're also going to be talking about, what we're going to be doing with Byers School. I think that when it comes down to next year, we have a lot of things to do and we need to get to work. So I just want to thank all of you again for putting the trust in me and naming me president for a year. And I also like the fact that we rotated because frankly, that's the way it should be done. I know for a fact that many other boards don't do that. And a lot of it's based on ego. So the fact that we rotated, the fact that we all have turns, that's really important. That way we're all, really the notion is that we're all in the same team and we're going to we're all working together on that. So from that end, I just want to say thank you to everyone. Happy holidays, stay safe. And I'm going to pass it to Dr. Potter.
Just wanted to share how very grateful I am to our governing board for staying together. It's such a blessing to our district and our community to have the same 5 board members with us. And so congratulations both to Mr. Martinez and Mrs. Pallasique. And just thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for staying with our district and continuing to protect and guide our district, particularly during this very difficult time. Very grateful also to our outgoing board president, Mr. Gurmilan. What a tough year to be a board president, and just want to thank you for genuinely caring about all of us. We all feel that you care, that your heart's with us, and we all feel like you listen as well. Thank you so much. I'm grateful also to our community partners, San Ysidro Women's Club in particular. This last Friday, they distributed almost 1,000 teddy bears. So Grace Kojima and Alice and Mrs. Lopez on our board, all of the San Ysidro Women's Club, thank you so very much. And to our own staff who helped store the teddy bears and get them to the right place and help all the cars safely go through the 2 schools and Willow and San Ysidro Middle School, to those who dressed up as Mr. and Mrs. Santa and brought great cheer, to find moments of joy during this very difficult time for our children. It was just wonderful. I could see the children just smiling through their safety face masks because their eyes were twinkling as they were driving through. And it's what makes our community wonderful for children and their families, because our community always does incredible things for children, even now during this pandemic. I want to say how grateful I am to our San Ysidro School District family, to our teachers and our classified, our management team. Everybody's working so hard together, and just want to say thank you. Thank you for continuing to be heroes. I know how tired you are, and I'm grateful for you to hang in there. And there is light coming. Today I received an email from the county health department, and the San Diego County started to receive the Pfizer vaccines, and we anticipate receiving about 28,000 doses within the next few days. And right now, Pfizer's authorized to give our county about 327,000 doses. So knowing that the vaccine's already starting to arrive in San Diego gives me hope for our community, and for our world, that we have a vaccine and it's starting to come to us and be received. So I wish all of you a very safe and joyous holiday season. I know this is not the normal Christmas that we're used to, or New Year's, but know how much and how deeply I care about our community and how our team cares about our community. Thank you so much for working through this together with all of us. Take good care, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Potter. And thank you everyone again for your kind words. And we're going to continue. We have 2 presentations coming up. We're going to go to 15 conference session, reports and presentations. Our first presentation is the first interim financial report 2021 and budget overview for parents. And I'm going to ask Marilyn if you can start your presentation.
Good evening, Board President Mr. Martinez, members of the board, Dr. Potter, and community. Tonight, the Business Department will present the 2021 first interim financial report, which is from July 1st, 2020 through October 31st, 2020. The presentation also includes the 21-22 budget reduction plan and the 2021 LCFF budget overview for parents. As recommended by FICMAT, this slide represents the first interim budget assumptions, which are built into the first interim report. Assumptions are also included in the SACS pages. So we have a 3-year first interim assumptions. The first one is the funded LCFF COLA, which is 0% for all 3 years. The STRS rates, approximately 16.15% for this year, a slight decrease for next year, 15.92%. And in 22-23, it jumps back up to its normal rate of 18.40%. We have our PERS rates, a drop of 20.70%, 22.84%, and then it creeps back up to 25.90%. And then we have our various rates, pretty much consistent for lottery restricted, mandated block grants for all 3 years. And then our required routine restricted maintenance account, which is 3% of expenditures for all 3 years. At first interim, we estimate our general fund revenues, unrestricted revenues of $46.3 million, restricted revenues of $16.9 million, for a total revenue amount of $63.1 million. So LCFF is our primary funding source, $45.5 million. Then we have our federal revenue of $10.3 million, which includes the CARES and ESSER one-time federal funds, and that's roughly $6.3 million. We have our other state revenues of $3.9 million and local revenues of $3.4 million. Total general fund expenditures is estimated at $61.7 million. Total fund expenditures, salary and benefits costs make up about 80% of the general fund budget. The remaining 20% is budgeted for materials and supplies, utilities, contracts, and other operating services. So as you can see, the net increase in fund balance is approximately $1.5 million when you subtract the revenue of $63.1 million minus the $61.7 million, and you get roughly $1.5 million in the positive. This slide represents our 2021 multi-year projections for all 3 years, 2021, 21-22, and 22-23. We start off the year with our projected beginning balance, which is the ending balance from 1920 at $1.1 million. We add in our revenues of $63.1 million. We subtract the expenditures of $61.7 million, and we have a net increase, a positive amount to our fund balance of roughly $1.5 million. Our projected ending fund balance is $2.6 million. We have reserve for economic uncertainties of $1.8 million, and the required reserve is a $1.8 million. So this budget for this year is positive. Next year, if you compare the yellow row to the blue row, you see that we are meeting our reserve again, and that's a positive certification. But the third year out, we are not meeting our reserve for economic uncertainties. We're short about almost $550,000. So that is a qualified budget. So districts that certify qualified at first interim must include a 21-22 budget reduction plan at first interim. The 21-22 budget reduction amount will range from 4.7 to $5.2 million. I was allowed to include a majority of projected budget reduction plan into the 21-22 budget projections, and that's why we are not filing a negative budget certification. It is qualified. Without the budget reduction plan, this budget would be considered negative because the third year out would have shown a negative $5.2 million. So the budget reduction plan for 21-22, we hope to save about $200,000 from a spending freeze. We hope to save $75,000 from moving unrestricted expenditures, shifting it over to restricted funds. We also will apply staffing ratios, reduce staffing due to declining enrollment, and reduce unfunded programs and positions through various layoff resolutions, natural attrition, and reduce unfunded programs and positions. So that's ongoing savings of about $4 million. Still to be determined are any additional reductions and a potential new one-time federal stimulus funds. So anywhere from $200,000 to $1 million. So the total estimated reduction with a 0% COLA is $4.7 million to $5.2 million. You have any questions on this slide? No?
Not necessarily a question, Marilyn, but more of a just confirmation that a lot of your estimates are based off of the scenario right now.
Correct.
So it doesn't include. So we're presupposing a 0% on COLA, which probably won't be that. We're presupposing no stimulus package, which
Correct.
probably won't be that. So at least my thought is, and my ask is that once new information is provided that would improve our current predicament in this reduction plan, that we update it and keep it like a living document where we're making sure that we have it up to date all the time.
Okay.
And I understand you're doing this just because it's important to think worst case scenario, but moving forward, I do believe things will get better. Maybe not resolve the problem, but hopefully things will get better. And I just want to make sure that this reduction plan is updated according to what's new, what comes out that will help improve it.
Okay. And I think we'll know more in January when the governor releases his January proposal.
Miss Marilyn, the 0% COLA, that was the guidance from the county across all 42 districts, right? For first interim budget?
Yes, it's the guidance from the county and school services of California. Is a 0% COLA for all 3 years.
And will they revise their guidance after the governor releases his proposed budget in January for the second interim budget?
Yes, we'll have a new dartboard and a new common message from the governor.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So these are the 6 top financial issues that's impacting our budget. So we have the COVID-19 induced recession at a 0% COLA that's causing the negative $5.2 million as identified in our budget reduction plan. The cash deferrals for our district is an impact of $11.6 million. Statewide, it's a cash deferral amount of $12 billion. So for us, it's 11.6. Cross fiscal years, there's about 5 of them from the current fiscal year to next fiscal year. Number 3, the one-time only federal funds, CARES and ESSER funds. So that's built into the budget this year, which is saving our budget of $6.3 million. So moving forward, those funds will no longer exist. Number 4 is the projected declining enrollment. for next year, roughly 100 students decline. So that's equivalent to $1 million decline. And for preschool, approximately for this year was approximately 97 students decline. So that's an impact to the preschool budget of roughly $500,000 negative. We anticipate, because of the uncertainties of how the cafeteria fund will be funded this year due to the school closures and community feeding. We project a contribution from the general fund to the cafeteria fund anywhere from $150,000 to $250,000. We're closely monitoring the cafeteria fund every month. Number 6 is the projected contribution to special education, $6.4 million to $6.7 million. On this slide is the 21-22 proposed budget development timeline. So tonight we are taking these 3 items to the board as action items. In January, the governor will release his state proposed budget, and I will provide a budget workshop budget update in January or February. And P1 attendance is due and our projected enrollment and staffing for 21-22. And then we begin our rounds of possible layoff resolutions in February. We have certificated, and we also will present to the board the 1920 audit report. And then in March, we have additional layoff resolutions listed there. And then we'll take to the board the 2021 second interim budget report. April is our P2 attendance, which is in a normal school year. That's what our LCFF is based on, the P2 attendance. And then possible classified layoff resolutions and a possible final certificated layoff notice. In May, we have our LCAP annual review and public hearing, and the governors may revise. And then June, we have our 21-22 proposed budget and proposed LCAP, public hearings and adoption. And then in July is the final adoption and annual attendance report. This is something new during this time of the year. Normally, it doesn't occur in December, but because we are in this new way of life right now, we must take to the board the 2021 LCFF budget overview for parents. And this one is a projected revenue by fund resource. So it's pretty much the same slide as the revenue slide, but broken out in a different way. So this one shows total budget, a revenue budget, $63.1 million. But then on the right, the smaller pie graph breaks out the LCFF funds. So LCFF is made out of supplemental concentration and base grant. So the light blue area is your supplemental concentration grants at $11.1 million and your base grant at about $34.4 million. So that's this slide. On this slide, the top chart is the budgeted expenditures in the learning continuity plan. And the learning continuity plan pretty much replaced the LCAP. And it provides school districts with the opportunity to describe how they are planning to provide a high quality education, social, emotional supports, and nutrition to their students during the COVID-19 pandemic. So as you can see there, total budgeted expenditures in the LCP, $8,750,540, and the entire amount will go towards the high needs students in our district. Oh, I'm sorry. Can we go back one? And the bottom chart is the 1920 LCAP. The district budgeted $11,336,542 for planned actions to increasing and improving services to our high needs students, and actual expenditures were $11,351,662. Do you have any questions?
So any questions for Marilyn? Thank you, Marilyn.
You're welcome.
All right, so we're going to continue with our second report, 15.2, School Plan for Student Achievement 2021. And we're going to, Cynthia Monreal Gonzalez, our Executive Director of Educational Services, she's going to be giving the presentation.
Good evening, Board President Martinez, members of the board, Dr. Potter, cabinet, members of the community. Tonight, I'm here to share with you the school plans for student achievement, also known as the SYSDs. On the first slide, we're going to look at the SYSD and the template and kind of the purpose. So as we look at this, all schools that receive federal funds through the CONAP must consolidate their school planning into a school SYSD. This is per Ed Code and ESSA. All 7 of our schools, the elementary and the 2 middle schools, do need to do a SYSD annually. This SYSD template that we use is the template provided by CDE, and it's the newest template that is meant to align the requirements of ESSA and the LCAP to help schools meet the content requirements. So all 7 of our schools did use this template this year. Next slide, please. So the next few slides are just going to go through the components of the template just so that you have an awareness of how it's laid out. The purpose and description is the first piece, and it just, for our schools, explains whether or not they're a school-wide program or a comprehensive support and improvement school. We do have one comprehensive support and improvement school, that's San Isidro Middle School, and all the rest of our schools are considered school-wide programs because of their high Title I numbers. The next piece is stakeholder involvement. And in this piece of the document, the school site principal, along with school site council, goes through the process for the review and update of the previous year's SYSD to determine the goals and actions for this year's SYSD. And then they go through a comprehensive needs assessment where they evaluate the needs of the school using data. A lot of you have been able to visit our principals at their data review sessions. They use that type of data. They also use survey data, so assessment data, survey data, data from their walkthroughs, and feedback from parents at various stakeholder meetings. Next slide, please. Thank you. And then the whole base of the SYSD, so it's basically the plan of how to, each school site determines that they're going to improve services and measurable outcomes for all of their students. So they outline it through goals and strategies, and then they align those strategies through expenditures. One thing to note that's important for us as a district is our LCAP goals have always been aligned to the school goals. So the principals align their individual school goals and their local school context to the district goals. They do determine what the annual measurable outcome is going to be. So they have a determination of something that they will measure the outcome, the baseline or where they start out, and their expectation for growth for that particular goal set. And then they include a list of strategies that will support the growth of their students towards that goal. And then they align their expenditures that will be supporting that strategy. The next piece that they do is they look at the previous year's goals, and they go goal by goal, and they look at, as a team with their, along with their school site council, how was their overall implementation of this goal? Was there fidelity to the plan? Did the plan prove to be effective using the measurements and metrics that they used to guide themselves? Was there any discrepancy in the way they said that the funds would be used and the way that they were actually allocated by the end of the year? And then they'll think through whether or not they need to change that goal. Maybe they just amend it. Maybe it's a goal that over the year they found wasn't working out the way that they intended it to, and they'll choose a different goal. These are all the conversations that they have in planning the following year's SYPSA. And then the last component of the SYPSA is the budget summary. So they will have on this page an allotment of the amount of funds that their school received. And this is something that they work through with business to ensure that their budget summary and allocations match the allocations that their school has. And then this is just something that I wanted to share with you, because as we talk about this year being so different, we talked about the intention for the goals to be aligned to the district goals as well. There's kind of been this plan for a coherent plan from year to year. So what the state has asked us to do, it placed the LCAP on hold for this year. And in its place, as you know, you all adopted our learning continuity and attendance plan in September. And so we worked with the school site principals in aligning the SYPSA goals, which are the goals that came from the LCAP. So that's goal 1 is student achievement, goal 2 is safety, climate, and engagement, and goal 3 is parent engagement. And what we did is we took all of the topics and the things that we need to cover within the learning continuity and attendance plan, and we looked for where they fit naturally into those goals. And so we made sure that we were very focused on those topics that are important this year and every year, but especially this year for all of our students, and align them to the current goals that are in the LCAP from last time and were in the SYPSA goals. So for goal 1 under student achievement, the principals and their school site council teams looked at that continuity of learning, student access to connectivity, professional development, the roles of their staff, how they were going to support pupils with unique needs, and how they were going to address pupil learning loss. And so those are the things that you'll see in the actions of each of their plans. For goal 2, safety, climate, and student engagement, again, we see that thought of access to connectivity, professional development, staff roles, pupil participation we see here, that engagement piece with their attendance, the mental health and well-being, which there's a huge emphasis on right now, and rightly so with all the conditions that we're currently living, child nutrition, and then that pupil and family engagement and outreach, and really looking at if we have families and pupils who aren't engaged, how do we go about supporting them at this time? And then the last one is that parent engagement. And just always kind of having in mind that stakeholder engagement is imperative to inform all of our plans, more so right now. Again, the supports that we have in place for pupil and family engagement and outreach. In particular, under this goal, I wanted to point out that our principals also worked with their school site council to have their student and family engagement policy and their student family compact embedded into their SYPSAs. So you'll also see that in the backup for their SYPSAs, that those policies, which we also use the CDE recommended template for, have become a part of the SYPSA this year. And then just one last time to underscore, we're going to ask you in an action item later in the board agenda to approve the school plans for student achievement for all of our elementary schools and both of our middle schools tonight. So all 7 schools plans are part of an action item later on in the agenda. And then just any questions?
Any questions for Cynthia? No? Well, thank you so much, Cynthia, for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Okay, everyone, we're going to move to 16, general administration. 16.1 minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of November 12th, 2020, and the minutes of the special board meeting of November 19th, 2020?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Gurmilan, second by Mrs. Pallasique. Discussion? Hearing none. Dr. Potter, can you do the roll call vote, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 16.1. 1, the minutes. Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 16.2, the Second Amendment to the 2021 Instructional Program Phase Timeline Extension. Can I get a motion to approve the Second Amendment of the 2021 Instructional Program Phase Timeline Extension?
So moved.
I'll second.
Second. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Gurmilan.
Great. We have a motion by Mr. Lopez, a second by Mr. Gurmilan. Discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to ask Dr. Potter to do the roll call vote, please.
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 16.2. Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 16.3, date, time, and place of governing board meetings. Can I get a motion to approve the regular governing board meetings from January through December 2021 at 5 p.m. at the district office and at each school at least once a year, pursuant to Governor Newsom's Executive Order N2920? Governing board meetings of the San Ysidro School District Board shall be held by teleconference until the executive order is lifted. The governing board will then transition to the locations indicated on the governing board meeting schedule 2021. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Yep. Great. So we have a motion by Mrs. Lopez and we have a second by Mr. Lopez. Any discussion?
No, I just want to say I can't wait till we're at the school sites.
Ditto, my friend. I miss going to different schools. I even missed the DO. I don't know. I missed all of it. Either way, any other discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing none. Dr. Potter, can you do the roll call vote, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 16.3. Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. So we're going to go on to 16.4, delete administrative regulations, 3452.1 dash organized student body and delete administrative regulations, 3452.2 unorganized student body. Can I get a motion to approve 16.4?
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Gurmilan, a second by Mr. Lopez. Discussion? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Potter, can you do the roll call vote, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 16.4. Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 16.5, delete board policy and exhibit 4060-telecommuting policy. Do I have a motion to approve 16.5?
I'll make the motion.
I make the motion.
Okay, so I heard Mrs. Pallasique first, so Irene, you'll second that. Any discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Potter, can you do roll call?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 16.5. Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 16.6, second reading and adoption of revised administrative regulations, number 3541, transportation routes and services. Can I get a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of the revised administrative regulation?
I make the motion.
Thank you, Irene. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Lopez, a second by Mr. Gurmilan. Any discussion on the item? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 16.6, Board Member Humberto Gurmilan,
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez,
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique,
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez,
Aye.
and Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 16.7, first reading and adoption of revised board policy 6145.5, student organizations and equal access. Can I get a motion to approve the first reading and adoption of the revised board policy?
I'll make the motion.
I make the motion.
Okay. So I heard Mrs. Pallasique first and Mrs. Lopez second. So Mrs. Pallasique made the motion, Mrs. Lopez seconded it. Do we have any discussion on the item? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Potter, can you lead us in the roll call vote, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 16.7, Board Member Humberto Gurmilan,
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez,
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique,
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez,
Aye.
Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 16.8, 2021 CSBA Delegate Assembly nominations. Now, the way this is going to work, we're going to, with the motion, the person who makes the motion, they'll name and will essentially nominate the person that they want. And once we get a second, we have opportunities to amend it if people want to add during that discussion. So do we have a motion to nominate someone to, in accordance with CSBA bylaws, board members in Region 17 can be nominated? So do we have any motion? Seeing no board members are being nominated, we can actually have a motion to not nominate, not participate in the nomination of a CSBA delegate, basically nominating somebody. Do I have that motion?
I'll move, being that there's apparently no nominations.
I'll second that only because I'm not familiar with enough of the candidates locally. That's my fault for not doing proper research, but I didn't want to haphazardly nominate.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Gurmilan and a second by Mrs. Pallasique to not nominate a board member for the CSBA Delegate Assembly nomination. Do we have any discussion, questions, thoughts? Okay.
No, usually I didn't look, there was names in, because I know there's some.
They did used to give us names and then we could kind of research from that pool, but there's just so many if you just go down the list of.
There isn't anybody nearby. Last year, didn't we nominated Mr. Gurmilan, but didn't we do previous years? We did it because there's people, or is that gonna come later? People that are near our area like South Bay, Chula Vista, that were usually on or were being, nominated. Would that come later?
I believe this is it, Irene. Yeah. In fact, I think all of the people that are supposed to get nominated tonight, obviously as a board, we have that, it's our decision to decide if we want to nominate anyone. Historically, we've always stuck with South Bay schools, particularly school districts, particularly Chula Vista National, South Bay, and obviously us. But obviously it's up to the board, up to us to decide if we want to do that or if we just want to not.
Okay. No, I
Okay,
don't think then, no.
okay.
Okay.
Maybe I can ask staff, Ms. Ureno or Mr. Ortega. I'm looking at the board agenda backup for Region 17, which is San Diego County. It looks like Chula Vista's, there's Leslie Bunker, and her term in yellow, I don't know if Ms. Ureno can hear me. Her term is highlighted in yellow, expiring in 2021.
Yes, Dr. Potter, all the delegates that terms expire in 2021 can be nominated.
Okay, so the ones highlighted for San Diego that are South San Diego, there's only two. There's Leslie Bunker from Chula Vista, and there's Arturo Solis from Sweetwater. Those are the two.
Yes,
Thank you, Dr. Potter. The only reason I was mentioning not to nominate because I saw that. I mean, it wasn't because I could share a couple of names that I think would be worth nominating, but this is if the board, would trust my judgment. But being that I didn't hear anything else, I mean, I just didn't feel comfortable nominating. But I could definitely recommend solid 2-3 names that I have been in touch with, and I know personally from meetings that we could certainly nominate. So I don't know how we proceed.
And at least from my end of it, Mr. Gurmilan, I'm definitely fine with it. And in this case, you would be amending your motion, so you could go ahead and name them.
Okay, so I would like to amend my motion to not nominate so that we actually do nominate. And I would nominate, I definitely would nominate Leslie Bunker from Chula Vista Elementary School District. I would like to also put forth the name of Darshana Patel from Poway. Even though she's in North County, she has been a great advocate for our region. Don Perfect as well from Ramona Unified School District, and Mr. Arturo Solis from Sweetwater Union, and finally Sharon Whitehurst Payne from San Diego. I know and I've been in contact with these board members, and I can recommend their nomination if the board supports.
And
Right.
how many are, Miss Ureno? How many total are we allowed to nominate? Can you help us clarify that
we
part?
can nominate up to 11 delegates because there's one vacant position also.
Thank you, Ms. Monica. Those are the ones that I'm comfortable putting forth.
You're
And
welcome.
board member, Mr. Gurmilan, I caught 4 of the names. I think I missed one. Leslie Bunker, Don Perfect, Arturo Solis, Sharon Whitehurst Payne. There's one more name.
Darshana
Patel.
Okay,
from
thank
Poway.
you. Thank you.
Who made the second again? Was it Miss Pallasique?
It was Mrs. Pallasique.
Are you okay with that amendment, Mrs. Pallasique, to keep with the second?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 16.8, beginning with board member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
And board member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board vice president Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And board president Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. Okay, 16.9, resolution number 2021-0016, annual and 5-year reportable fees report. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second it. Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, so I heard Mrs. Pallasique make the motion and Mr. Lopez second that. Discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 16.9, Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes,
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
thank you, Dr. Potter. We're gonna go on to 16.10, 2021 LCFF budget overview for parents. Do I have a motion to approve the budget overview for parents?
So move.
You have a second? Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Gurmilan, a second by Mrs. Pallasique. Discussion? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 16.10, Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes,
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
thank you, Dr. Potter. We're gonna move on to 16.11, resolution number 2021-017, budget reduction plan for fiscal year 2021 to 2022. Do I have a motion to approve the budget reduction plan?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Lopez, a second by Mr. Gurmilan. Do we have any discussion?
This is only based on, for the current, right? Right now, the county and the state budget assumption is because we're required to have it by a certain date, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Marilyn.
You're welcome.
That was gonna be my question too, Irene.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 16.11, Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. Okay, we're gonna go on to 16.12, first interim financial report, 2020-2021. Do I have a motion to approve 16.12?
So moved.
I'll second.
Great, we have a motion by Mr. Lopez, a second by Mr. Gurmilan. Any discussion on the action item? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 16.12, Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes,
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
thank you, Dr. Potter. Okay, 16.13, resolution number 2021-0018 in support of the San Diego Regional Digital Equity Coalition. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Lopez, a second by Mrs. Pallasique. Any discussion? I just have a comment.
I
for
just
my-
want
Oh, go for it, Mrs. Lopez.
to, I'm reading my notes. Okay, no, I answered myself. That's fine. I'm sorry.
Great. Yeah, I know. I just have a comment on this, and I know that part of the challenge that our school district is facing is the digital divide. So I'm really happy that we're approving this resolution to support the coalition. And I think that ultimately what we're asking for is our fair share. And when it comes down to that, I think our kids deserve it. So I'm really happy that we're approving this resolution. And I want to thank Dr. Potter, Mr. Lewis, and everyone involved in making this possible so that we can approve it tonight. I know Sweetwater did it earlier, but I think we're second, so that's good. So I just want to thank Dr. Potter for getting that done. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
And I'll also thank Mr. Lewis and Miss Adrianson. Thank you so much for working on this. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 16.13. Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0. Thank you for helping us with this effort as well, Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Dr. Potter, for everything. Okay, we're going to go on to 17, the consent calendar. All items appearing are adopted by one single motion. There will be no discussion of these items prior to the consideration of the motion unless a member of the board or the superintendent requests that any such items be removed from the consent calendar and voted on separately. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Lopez, a second by Mr. Gurmilan. Do we have any pools?
I do.
Okay. Irene, what's
I
your
have
pool?
just 17C.1.
Okay,
Oh, and I meant to go back. 17B.1 also.
got it.
And the 17.1C, okay. Those are the only ones.
Great, so
Oh,
17.
I'm sorry. I'm just asking on this 17.D4.
17D4. Okay. So we have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar, except 17B.1, 17C.1, and 17D.4. Do we have any other requests to remove items? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 17, beginning with Board Member Humberto Gurmilan
Aye.
and Board Member Irene Lopez,
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique,
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez,
Aye.
and Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0, bringing us to one of the first three pools, 17B1.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. Okay, 17B.1, temporary intervention support teacher. Retirement. Do I have a motion to approve, ratify the retirement for the following as recommended by staff?
So moved.
I'll
We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Lopez, a second by Mrs. Pallasique. We have discussion now. Irene, you're up.
So 17B1 is a position that somebody retired from it?
Board Member Lopez, 17B1 is regarding a recruitment for temporary intervention support teacher.
Okay, and I understand it's going to be for La Mirada. Is that one budgeted already?
It comes out of CSI funds that they have and need to spend by the end of this year.
Okay, that's what I need to.
And just to clarify, to amend obviously our motion, because I read it wrong, I thought it was retirement, that this is actually a recruitment, not the retirement. So if whoever made the motion, I think it was Mr. Lopez, if we can amend that motion to identify that it's recruitment, not retirement.
Strike one, President Martinez, but I'll allow it.
You got it. All right. Any further discussion? Any other questions, Irene?
No, that's all. I wondered if it was in the budget or not, but I saw that it was for La Mirada, so I just wondered. Okay, thank you.
Great. For the future reference, if we can, because it seems kind of lopsided the way it reads on the agenda, if we can have it so that I guess the action item number is next to the bold part, so that way it's easier to read, at least from my end of it. And other than that, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote for 17B.1, recruitment?
Yes, we can make that amendment on the future agendas. I can see the alignment issue that you're referring to. So calling for the roll call vote for 17B1, Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 17C.1, support plans for student achievement for the 2020-2021 school year. Do I have a motion to approve 17C.1?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Lopez, a second by Mrs. Pallasique. Discussion? And Irene, you're up.
Yeah, I was just wondering because it says here, okay, I wanted an explanation on it. I read it and maybe it's me that's not understanding all, but these plans were for La Mirada, Ocean View Hills, Spice, Sunset, Willow Vista, Del Mar, and middle school. And it says they all receive state and federal funding. It's required that they receive it. So actually, this has already been approved by the school site council. So I know that it went to them for that, but there was something I questioned on it. And I made notes on it, but I saw that I read on what they wrote each school on this plan, how it was going to be utilized. And I saw that all of them had different because of each school is different. But I made a little note here at the end that now I understand why they were saying that the school parent compact had been reviewed and approved by the school site council. So I'm okay with that. I'm sorry. Yeah, I made my note at the last. Should have read it before, afterwards again. I'm okay. I'm okay with it.
Great. Any other discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
And I'll just say thank you so much to the principals and school site councils and education services. Worked really hard on these plans. So thank you. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 17C.1, Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Sorry. Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Thank you. Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
The vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. Okay, last action item, 17D.4. Can I get a motion to approve the agreement with MCore Services Mesa Energy Systems Incorporated?
So moved.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Motion. Okay. Motion by Mr. Lopez, second by Mr. Gurmilan. Discussion? And you're up, Irene.
I just wanted to, yeah, I know. I saw the in court and I never did use this company before. No, huh? No, this is a different type. No, it's
Yeah,
the
this
first.
is a different one.
I saw that. I really was very amazed at how the system is created to bring safer environment for staff and students by purifying the air. I know we have some materials that we've bought, but this is also improving the filtration in the classrooms and combating the infected surfaces, even though we do sanitize, but this is apart from that, will be also used. I thought it was great. Gee, I wondered, I looked at what it really does eliminate and how it's done. And it was really amazing to see that now how we've been able to bring this type of service to our schools. Did this come from Mr. Acevedo?
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
it's effective for 10 years, up to 10 years.
Wow.
Every
Okay.
classroom and every office, all the vents in our building.
Yeah, I looked up their company and I saw what they've done with other schools and districts, and I was amazed at that. So thank you, Mr. Acevedo, and everybody else who helped to bring this to us and be able to utilize it, because there is a need. I know there is. And it'll help us in the future also. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 17D.4. Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. And now we're going to go to adjournment.
Almost.
Second.
Great. We have a motion by Mr. Lopez, a second by Mrs. Pallasique. Any further discussion before we adjourn? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can we do a roll call vote for adjournment, number 18?
Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item number 18, adjournment at 8:15 p.m., beginning with Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
And Board Member Irene Lopez.
Aye.
Board Clerk Rosaleah Pallasique.
Aye.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Aye.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. And again, I want to thank everyone for making this meeting possible. And I want to wish every one of you, for those that are here and those that are listening in, a happy holiday season and stay safe. Thanks, everyone.
Congratulations,
Bye.
Mr.
Happy
President,
holidays.
President, Board Clerk.
Thank you,
President
everyone.
Everybody, have a good night.
You
Thank
too.
you
Happy
so
holidays,
much,